Hey guys, it's West here, back with another Summoners War video. Today we're going to do the redundant video to fill the lack of content between all the different series going on. We're going to be talking about the newest Hall of Heroes that's going to be coming out for the Wind Dryad, Mellia. We're going to talk about usability and what I would recommend to do with her. I don't have one built because I have other units that fill her spot in my team. Team. There's not a crazy amount of places that you would use Mellia. However, I think for players who are looking for some better TOA monsters, she's going to be a really good Hall of Heroes. So let's talk about her skills, and then we'll talk about where and what teams I would use her in, specifically in TOA and such. So her first skill is going to attack. It's going to absorb the attack bar by 15%, which means you take 15% from them and give it to her with a 70% chance at max skill. That's pretty decent. That's pretty decent rate for, you're stealing harmful effect. You're stealing attack bar, giving her more turns to do all of her stuff. Her second skill is AOE slow and then absorb attack bar by 50%, and this activates with the attack speed slow. Activates with a 75% chance at max skill. The attack bar reduction, the 50% attack bar reduction is guaranteed. So it's pretty nice. You're getting a lot of AoE attack bar reduction on a net 4. It's pretty good attack bar reduction. It's on a 3-turn cooldown, which is pretty quick, which makes her. Both of these skills with the attack bar reduction make her pretty good in TOA already. Then we've got her passive, where you inflict continuous damage on the enemy targets for 2 turns. It's only 1 continuous damage effect, but it lasts for 2 turns. And if you attack one that already has a dot, then it's only going to be a 1-turn dot added on to the whatever dot she has already. So it'll be a 1 continuous damage effect for 1 turn instead of 1 continuous damage effect for 2 turns. Now, when you pair this passive with her second skill becomes insane, because you're applying an attack speed slow, you're reducing the attack bar by 50%, and you're applying 1 dot on every unit for 2 turns. And that doesn't have a harmful effect rate, so it's a 100% activation rate of happening. Of course, with accuracy resistance check. Now, the reason why I think she's so good, and one of the reasons why I might even still build her sometime, is for specifically the Leo Ragdoll floor of TOA Hard, and TOA Normal if you're struggling there as well. Also, if you don't have any other continuous damage effect applier, AoE continuous damage effects besides Beretta, for example. Maybe you haven't pulled a Manchura, or you're not fortunate enough to have a Rika, then she can wonderfully fill this slot. There's not really a lot of great AoE continuous damage options in the wind category anyways. In the wind category, specifically the type of unit that I like to use, and like I said, the Leo Ragdoll floor. When you have your Ragdoll and 4 Leos, it's a pain dealing with them with any other unit, besides wind, because if you use water, you're going to glance on Leo. If you use fire, you're going to crit on Leo. Dark is pretty good, but that's dark, right? So it's less obtainable. Units like Manchura are pretty good there, but all over TOA Normal and Hard she's going to be good as well, because she's going to have this attack bar absorption on the first skill, attack bar reduction on the second skill, and the dots on the third skill. Now, if you're using her in your TOA team, the way I recommend to use her is going to be Despair whatever. Despair Energy, Despair Focus. Get her 45% accuracy so she can hit the cap for TOA, and definitely put her on Despair, because, if you get an AoE stun, right? AoE stun, attack bar reduction, slow, and dots. That's 4 harmful effects, essentially, if you want to count the attack bar reduction as some harmful effect, which I would in this situation. You're applying to the enemy, and it's on a 3-turn cooldown, which is insane. If you pair it with Mav, then it's a 2-turn cooldown, a pretty consistent 2-turn cooldown on that skill. So it just becomes nuts, the amount of continuous damage effects and the CC that you can have with her. And of course, the first skill even is pretty good for helping you to control the boss even more, because you're creating a 30% attack bar gap between Mellia and the boss every time you use this skill, if it lands, which 70% activation rate on it is pretty decent likelihood of it landing. So Her stats are pretty evened out. You can see the balance between all of them. We'll go into this this poor guy. Sorry, I know his build isn't up to par. Just so we could look at the base stats of her. Pretty good HP. Now I would actually like it if she had less attack and just gave her more defense, so she could be more tanky. But I mean, it's not really gonna change how she works. You want to make her pretty fast, but if you have her in your TOA team, I highly recommend. You could put her pretty much anywhere in the rotation in your TOA team if you're trying to be maximum efficiency. I would have her move before Mav. I would have Mav pretty quick, but last in your team, so he could reset the cooldowns after your team has used all their third skill cooldowns. I would put her before Beretta. The reason being, if you put her after Beretta, then she's only going to apply AoE continuous damage effect for one turn. If you have enough continuous damage effects or enough stuns where you're not worried about that, I guess you can throw caution to the wind and put her at any turn order that you choose for your team, but I think optimally you'd put her before any other dotter so that she could take advantage of the 2-turn AoE continuous damage effect instead of getting that reduced to a 1-turn dot. Just the reason being you get extra damage, and that damage all adds up in TOA. You never know with RNG whether or not your stuns are actually going to land or anything like that. So just for consistency's sake and efficiency's sake, I'd highly recommend having her move before your Beretta, and that's likely the team that I would put her. I put her with Beretta. Other good pairings would be Spectra if you really want a serious amount of attack bar reduction in your team, and I'm talking just about farmable units for now. With her and Beretta, you'll have a pretty consistent amount of AoE dots. I highly recommend you'd run her in a team with Mav if you were going to run a dot composition. And then you could put Bella in there as a healer, Chasun as a healer, Colleen is a healer. Colleen's pretty good for some of those stages like the Artemail stage where there's going to be healing you have to deal with and you want to have a consistent attack break on a lot of units. But you also want a heal that's constantly up too. Let's see, other pairings. Now, when we're talking about relatively obtainable units, I'm going to include some Nat 3s that I think would pair pretty well with her. I did mention Manshura. Now, the only thing is Manshura does... it's kind of counterintuitive when you use her with the Manshura team, just in the sense that I usually like to rune my Manshura very fast and have him go before other units, and then even on teams that are mostly dot oriented or damage over time oriented, damage and TOA, I'll have him go first so I can take advantage of the defense break to do damage. She's not going to do crazy huge damage. I'm sure you could build her on a speed crit damage HP or speed crit damage attack build if you really wanted to. Not that I would recommend putting those types of runes on a unit that I would say is suboptimal for things like PvP. I'm sure somebody's going to try to use her there, and if you want to, all power to you. But I think where you're going to see her shine the most is going to be in stages of TOA, like I mentioned, the Leo Ragdoll stage, where you want to avoid critting, you want to land dots, and you want to control attack bar so your team doesn't get wiped. I think she would pair really well with Woonhack, our boy right here, the Dark Taoist. I know there's plenty of people who've gotten this guy and thrown him in storage. Pretty good. You can get an AoE stun on the second skill. He can by himself AoE stun on the second skill. And if he's tuned to go after her, then he's more likely to apply this stun because he'll get two AoE attacks, and if that enemy is attack speed slowed, which they will if you use her second skill, then you can get an AoE stun as well. So anybody who didn't get despair stun by her can get stunned even more. Stun and heals, attack break. I mean, he's pretty good pairing with her as well, because then you could take advantage of that other attack speed slow. You could also use her with units like Lupinus if you want to for more attack bar reduction and control. You get a little bit of redundancy with the attack speed slows between Lupinus's the Wind Magic Knight, her first skill, and Mellia's second skill. But I mean, the more attack bar reduction, the better for controlling bosses. That's about it. She's pretty cookie cutter unit when it comes to TOA usage. Like I said, her runes are pretty simple. You want her to go before Beretta. Like I said, you don't want to gimp yourself on the continuous damage effects. If you can help it, make her go before Beretta, before any other daughter. If you have Manchura in your team, if you have Thrain, she also works very well with Thrain. the Dark Grim Reaper. If you do have him and you're looking for a TOA daughter, pair her with him as well. But I think she brings a lot of attack bar control, something that I don't think is common enough for free-to-play monsters. At least in my teams, in my time playing the game, there hasn't been a lot of monsters that fit the category of like really good TOA attack bar reducer, and I think she's a pretty good TOA attack bar reducer. Spectra, you could make an argument for Spectra too, but I'm very happy with her. I think she's a pretty good Hall of Heroes, and if you're looking for a daughter for TOA, she's pretty good. If you're looking for a premium PvP unit, maybe not as much. The guild leadership skill, I didn't really mention it because I don't think it's extremely impactful in her kit. Like I said, I'm sure you can use her in PvP. She's got attack bar control, and you could do some sort of .cc comp, but primary usage, TOA normal, TOA hard for those dangerous stages. Thank you guys also so much for watching. If you've got places that you plan on using Mellia that are unorthodox and you've got some fun builds planned, let me know in the comments section below. Let me know your opinions on this Hall of Heroes. Are you going to build her? Are you not? Are you going to put her? Are you going to use her for food for your 5 stars so you can 6-star your new toys? But that's it for this one. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video.
Hey guys, it's West again. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe for more.